How did you go bankrupt? Very slowly, and then all of a sudden. I love that quote. It comes from a Ernest Hemingway book, The Sun Also Rises. It's a conversation between two friends. Interesting conversation. How did you go bankrupt? Very slowly, and then all of a sudden. I've talked to numbers of business owners over time, and some of which their businesses have failed. Maybe they've gone bankrupt. They've had to close their business. And I've asked them a very similar question. How did this happen? How did you go bankrupt? And the response I normally get is, I don't know. Things seemed to be going pretty well. We were adding new clients. Revenue was growing. Then we began to lose a little bit of cash. Receivables began to grow. Cash flow went down. Less cash. Then we ran out of cash. Very slowly. Very slowly. And then all of a sudden. Welcome to Module 4, Charting Financial Performance. In this module, we're going to look at three things. One, we're going to look at understanding your numbers, understanding financial performance, being able to read financial statements, make sense of them. Number two, we're going to talk about financial planning, doing budgeting, forecast, projections. And then number three, we're going to talk about how small, mid-sized companies like yours, where do they find capital to fund their growth? So those are three topics in this particular module. But I come back to that quote that I started with, how did you go bankrupt? So that's what I hope this module is all about, is to help prevent that happening from your company, running out of cash, losing your business due to poor financial performance. So one of the first questions I ask when I do this particular module of participants is, what is your financial intelligence? On a scale of 1 to 10, say, where 10 is really high, 1 is low, where would you put yourself in terms of financial intelligence? The average score that I normally get, these are business owners and operators, is 4 to 5 maybe, on a scale of 10. That suggests to me there's a lot of room for improvement, a lot of room for learning when it comes to this particular topic. And much of what I'll be sharing with you, at least in the beginning of this module, comes from a book actually called Financial Intelligence, written by Karen Berman and Joe Knight, probably my favorite book on this topic. Again, the book is called Financial Intelligence. There have been lots of studies done about the financial literacy of small business owners. And again, the number is usually less than 50% would describe themselves as financially literate. That may explain the high failure rate of small businesses in this country today. So we're going to start off, hopefully each of you have a handout for this module. We'll follow this handout pretty closely. And also, if you have your most recent financial statements, that might be helpful as well. An income statement, a balance sheet, that might be helpful as well. So let's start. We're going to start at kind of a high level and talking about a company's financial performance. And we'll start with, what are the most important financial goals? Highest level, what are the two things that we're most interested in as a business owner operator about our company's financial performance? And that's pretty simple. Number one, we're interested in profitability. Is the company generating a sufficient return on investment? And you'll see there are a number of different ways that we can look at, that we can calculate profitability for a company: gross profit, net profit, operating profit, EBITDA. But it's important that we understand, what is the profitability of my company? First goal. Second goal, financial goal, is solvency. Translated, do we have enough cash? And what you'll see is we tend to associate profitability with cash. If we're profitable, we must be generating cash. And that's true probably most of the time. But there are circumstances where it's not true, particularly for high growth company, that on the income statement, they're showing profit. On the cash flow statement, they're showing that they're losing cash. You'll see an example of that later on in this particular module. So we don't want to just assume that if we're profitable, that we're also generating positive cash flow. not always the same. So those are the two most important financial goals: profitability and solvency. And it's interesting because those two goals align perfectly with two questions, I think, that come with every significant strategic business decision, like buying a piece of equipment or moving into a new market, adding a new product. And those two decisions are, should we do this and can we do this? Should we speaks to profitability. As a result of this decision, will we become more profitable? Can we speaks to solvency. Do we have the cash? Can we afford this decision? Should we, can we, profitability, solvency. A couple quotes that also go along with these two high financial goals. One goes as follows: if profit is food to the business, cash flow is oxygen. If profit is food to the business, cash flow is oxygen. Think about how long can you and I go without eating? Well, at least a few days, if not more, maybe longer. How long can a company go without profit? A while, depending on the amount of cash the company has. But how long can you and I go without oxygen? Not very long. How long can a company go without cash? Not very long at all. Next quote: revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is reality. I like that quote. Revenue is vanity. We like to be able to say we're a $5 million, a $50 million, we're a $500 million company. That sounds great to our friends, to our colleagues. Revenue is vanity. Profit is sanity. Why are we in this business if at some point we're not able to be a profitable, not just profitable, but highly profitable company? Cash flow is reality. At the end of the day, it's about producing cash. We have to be producing positive cash. Jim Collins, who I've referenced a number of times over these videos, these modules, Jim Collins, when he looked at the great companies in his book, Good to Great, he looked for commonalities. What do they share? What do these companies have in common? One of the things he found was all these great companies were cash heavy. Great companies, lots of cash. On average, they had 3 to 10 times more cash on their balance sheet than the average company in their industry. They were cash heavy, and you might be thinking, well, of course, they were great companies, very profitable. They must have had a lot of cash. Well, what Collins found in his research is not only did they have a lot of cash when they were great companies, they had a lot of cash from day one. From being a startup, they were cash heavy because they knew how important that was. So this is an introduction to this first module. Again, we'll be talking about understanding your financials, your numbers. We'll be talking about financial planning, and we'll also be talking about the funding of your business.